It is absolutely wonderful to be able to be with you virtually, to welcome you officially to your Year 11 Raising Achievement Evening. Under very different circumstances, we would actually be holding this face to face in our school hall downstairs. But due to the COVID era that we are living in, this is all happening virtually. To Year 11 parents and guardians who have not yet had the pleasure of meeting and having a conversation with, I want to share with you that the Year 11 cohort have started this year absolutely brilliantly. Their engagement with their learning, their commitment to staying after school because we have commenced English and Maths revision, and their utter belief that they will succeed this year is matched and absolutely mirrored by all of the staff in our school community. So as the new principal at Ash Green, I want to pledge my support to you as the families, to our Year 11 students who are watching live, that we are going to do absolutely everything in our power to ensure that when I see you in August 2021, each and every one of you is going to be sailing out of the school hall with a stunning set of accomplishments. So welcome to this evening. I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Morris, Head of Year 11.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sharif. Yeah, good afternoon all. Really excited to get the chance to address you for the first time as Head of Year 11 for your students. Really excited to be working with them this year, and I've really got to echo the message that Miss has given there. A really great start. Super enthusiastic, really focused, and I've really enjoyed getting the chance to observe them in lesson and see the fantastic work they're producing. Just on this evening then, in terms of what you're going to see from our amazing staff, you'll have a brief message from myself. We'll have a look at the year ahead and expectations, revision and optimising opportunities, as well as examination updates, assessments and mock preparation, and then an update from our 3 core subjects learning team leaders. So really, starting with the year ahead, preparation is going to be absolutely key, kind of more so than ever. Mocks have really taken on an even larger level of importance this year, obviously with what happened with COVID last year. So my sort of plea to you as supportive parents is to just ensure that your students, your child, sorry, are doing absolutely everything they can on their part to ensure that progress is being made ready for those mocks in November. We will absolutely use the experiences we gained from last year to support your children this year. I was Head of Year 11 last year, and it obviously presented us with challenges we've never met before. But the lessons learned from last year will really hold us in good stead, ready for next. In terms of support that I can offer, I track and monitor attendance, which I'll go into a little bit more detail in a moment, and then just offer mentoring with behaviour. There is, if you could just go back to the previous slide, an email address that you can email directly. So if you have any concerns or you'd like me to spend more time with your child, then please do send an email into the noted email address there. Thank you. So in terms of attendance, then I run reports each day on look at the figures for the whole year group and for individuals. Our target for whole school is 96%, but for year 11 really we've got to be aiming above that number. On average, every 5 to 10% of missed attendance or missed school throughout their time at school leads to around a grade's less progress, so incredibly important. Currently, myself and Miss Norman are working with any students who fall below 90, and that's just support to get as students back into school as quickly and as safely as we can. I'll continue to work with those students throughout the year. We've also introduced personalised intervention plans for 20 students. We'll look to increase this number after autumn mocks, obviously based on results within them. Intervention is already happening for English and Maths, and feedback for those sessions have been absolutely fantastic. The students, I think, are really getting a lot from those sessions. We're looking to offer more subjects after half term. We will also just keep focused on attitudes to learning, working with all learning team leaders in faculties to ensure that their high standards are met, and I will intervene if needed with any students. Again, If you feel your student, your child will benefit from any of that intervention, pastoral support or mentoring, then please do contact me through the email address. Really excited to work with this cohort throughout this year, and I'm really excited to see the outcomes that will be produced and the progress that we've made throughout the year. I've got no doubt about that. I'll hand over to Miss Sibley now, who's going to talk a little bit more about the year ahead.
Good evening. This is Miss Sibley, Vice Principal. Really pleased to get the opportunity tonight to speak to you all about the year ahead, which I believe to be the most important year in your child's education to date. It goes without saying that year 11 is exactly what it is. It's 11 years of learning and practice. And there is, without doubt, a direct correlation between how well young people do in year 11 and then their success beyond that, up to year 13. So what we're talking about at the moment is an investment, really, not only in the outcomes next summer, but in learning habits for life. Opportunities and doors open with grade 4s. Kind of rhymes, which is quite appropriate, I suppose. For most level 3 courses, which are A-levels and BTECs, which are the normal progression from GCSE, colleges and sixth forms will be requiring 5 grade 4s as a minimum entry requirement. And for some subjects, they'll be requiring 5s and 6s. Therefore, every hour in school is a lesson, every hour and lesson in school is a form of intervention. Young people often talk to me about wanting to do intervention and how they can do extra work, but it all starts in the classroom. And as Mr. Morris has already said, 10% of attendance is on average a grade drop. So every lesson a young person can get to is the starting point. The year ahead is busy, as always, and I just wanted to point out a couple of key dates that are coming up. Year 11 are aware that the first round of mocks will begin on the 16th of November. The second round of mocks are either side of the February half term. All being well, we'll then have the Easter holidays and move towards that final examination period. The examination period this year has been confirmed that it will start 3 weeks later than normal. However, the first formal exams are expected to start on the week commencing the 24th of May, which I've worked out from this evening to be 119 school days. So there's no time to waste. There have been some changes to the GCSEs. For some exam boards and some subjects, there's been absolutely no changes. There have been some minor changes to English. Some content has been removed from history, and field work and practicals, as well as the art exam has been removed from art. But on the whole, a lot of the content is still there. So the rigour and the knowledge that's required is still fairly expansive. So what we want them to do then, what we expect, obviously attendance is key. If you're not here, you can't learn. But we also want the young people in our school to be present. And by that I mean to actually take part. Ask if they're unsure, try, even if they don't think they can do it, and don't give up at the first hurdle. We'd also like them to optimise on after-school interventions where appropriate. As already outlined tonight, English and Maths have begun on a Tuesday and Thursday for some students, and there'll be more coming in the coming weeks. It's really important that all students start to think about planning for the exams and putting together a timetable. There's more on this later from Mr. Dudley. Ultimately, I'd like them all to be brave and adopt the I can approach. Do your best and we will all be happy at the end. So looking forwards, it's not just about the exams in the summer, it's about where you go with those exams. And I tell all my year 11 students to actually be selfish. Now's the time to move away from distractions, to start thinking about yourselves, what you want to do in the world, where you're going in life. And that's quite daunting. Over the next few weeks, up to Christmas, many colleges and apprenticeships will be advertising. So now's the time to start thinking about those next steps. Make sure you check the entry requirements. Make sure you diarise any open nights. Lots of them are virtual at the moment. And speak to careers advisors for support. We have our own in-house careers advisor who is currently actually working for Year 11. Finally, in-class practice is key. I know lots of staff and subject are planning very carefully to build students up for these mock exams. There's a lot of practice questions being weaved into the lessons, homeworks as well, are moving that way. But ultimately, the exams are happening as far as we know. The mock exams are definitely happening, and they may well be very important as they were for young people last year. So we cannot now assume that there will be additional exams. We have to assume that every exam could be our final exam. Finally then, Ash Green has its own sixth form. I'm sure you're aware, and many students have been asking me recently about sixth form and about entry requirements, and there will be an open evening virtually on Wednesday the 25th of November. So I would advise all young people to put that in their diaries and look forward to finding out what we can offer here. Thank you for listening. I'll now pass over to Mr. Dudley, Assistant Principal, to talk to you about preparing for these exams.
Good evening, I'm Mr. Dudley, Assistant Principal, and I want to speak to you about some revision techniques and strategies that your children should be doing. So I'm going to start today with why should they revise. Really helpful to remember key information, to increase their confidence, definitely to reduce anxiety, and to allow them to be prepared to do the best in their exams that they can. So 6 quick tips from me then to be thinking about as their exams approach. Firstly is to set goals. Setting goals is a great place to start, as this will set the tone for the next few months. Write down the GCSE subjects you're studying for and the grades that you want to achieve. Underneath each subject, write out the list of topics, and in the end keep track of the progress and make sure that you are improving the whole way through. Secondly, I want to speak about creating a realistic revision timetable. Building a revision timetable will add structure to your studying and allows you to organise your time. As you'll be mapping out study slots for each topic, if you identify a GCSE subject that you want to spend more time on, you can add these extra sessions in to create a realistic schedule that you're going to stick to and know there are limits to how much work can effectively be completed in a day. Just plan your study time out depending on what works best for you. So to make a timetable, start to think about how much time do you really have? What are your priorities? Break subjects into topics where possible. Allocate 30 to 45 minute slots. Stay flexible and make sure it's achievable. Thirdly, to understand your learning style. There isn't a one-size-fits-all way to study, as everyone works in different ways. Understanding your learning style and whether you're a visual, auditory or kinesthetic learner, to learn through doing physical activities. This will also make revision much easier when it comes to learning and understanding key concepts. Take regular breaks. Studying for long periods of time can be counterproductive as the brain becomes tired and you can easily lose focus, meaning you're not actually revising effectively. Instead, aim for 30 to 45 minute slots with short breaks in between. This way you'll have much more productive bursts of revision rather than trying to stay alert covering multiple subjects for hours on end. So 5th, practice papers are your new best friend. One of the best revision tips to help you prepare for your GCSE exam is to do as many practice papers as you can. This will help you become familiar with the exam format, question style and time restraints, test your current knowledge and help you identify any areas that you're struggling with. 6th is a little bit more difficult during COVID, but I'm sure your child can find a way. If you're finding revision too much to tackle on your own, then working in a study group, as I've said, maybe virtual, is a great way to find support. Collaborate with your classmates and create an after-school study club or join a GCSE revision group online. You can quiz each other, share notes, discover new ways of memorising things and explain topics in new ways to each other that may make them easier to remember. Sharing knowledge is definitely powerful. Finally from me, I wanted to speak about what can you do to support your child. So just a few tips that we thought about the teachers of Ash Green. Can phones be taken off them for revision just for while they are revising? I know it'd be difficult to get out of their grip, but it will definitely be helpful. Testing will help to retain knowledge. Maybe you could test your child and see what they know. Let pupils show off their knowledge. You know, they should be proud of what they're achieving and what they're doing. Monitor how much revision they are doing. Ensure they have regular breaks. Create a quiet space and finally stay positive. They're a great cohort. I'm sure they're going to do really well. I'd now like to pass on to Mr. Pickerel to speak to you about exams.
Good evening all, I'm Mr. Pickerel, Assistant Principal. I'm just going to run through what's happening in the exams currently and how we're going to use mock exams to really kick forward and improve for the rest of the year. So, Miss Sibley's already highlighted a few changes, but these are the changes so far. The exams are now start on the 7th of June. However, maths and English will be before half term. Results day is now Friday the 27th of August, and there's been a significant change in GCSE content, which was highlighted previously. Mock exams, so that our first big step, will take place on the 16th of November to the 27th of November. They will be externally moderated, so that means they'll be invigilated externally, and we will have marking that will be moderated externally as well. And we will be using past papers and mark schemes. That means we're able to accurately see where each pupil is at this moment in time. The big thing though is how we will actually use the mock exams. So every subject will complete a question level analysis or skill analysis. This is basically what we're able to do is break down every single question into set skills and knowledge, so we can break down for each pupil, identify their strengths, weaknesses, and how to improve. So each pupil will get that. The key is for pupils to go away and use that information to improve. What subjects will also do is they will meet and they will adjust all the curriculums for the remainder of the year to match pupils' needs at that point. I'll put a little asterisk at the bottom that Scotland have already cancelled their National Fives, which are sort of GCSE equivalents. We need to be aware that if that happens in our country at this moment in time, these mocks will form part of that judgment. So it's important that we get our pupils ready and we do everything to make sure they do as well as possible at this moment in time. Now, there's three main things that I want pupils to do leading up to these mocks and after. And it's three key words really. It's prepare, attend, and improve. So number one is prepare for the mocks like they are the real exams. So prepare as much as possible, revision, asking for support, making sure that they're fully equipped when they enter the exams and they are ready to sit them papers. Big thing, attend every day. We've had Mr. Morris has already mentioned it and Miss Sibley about attendance. We need pupils in school. Every lesson I say we've got to pick up 1 mark extra for the exam. And then it's pupils' responsibility to take them mock exams, take all the information that we give them to make sure that they can improve. So it's basically taking an active part in their personal improvement. That's it from me. I'm just going to hand over to Science and Mrs. Stokes. So thank you again. Again, Mr. Morris already put on the head of year 11. If you need to get in touch with myself, you can go via that email and I will get back to you as well. Thank you.
Okay, good evening all. I'm hearing a bit of feedback. My name's Mrs. Stokes, I'm Head of Science, and I just wanted to go through a few things that we've done within the Science Department to prepare the pupils for their exams. Okay, so the curriculum and support that happened during lockdown. So our teachers use Seneca and Caboodle, and Caboodle, every pupil's got a login. It contains all of our textbooks that we use. Not only that, but a load of other resources, which I'll go on to in a few minutes. And we set work in line with our curriculum plan last year and in line with the exam board specification as well. Now, work was checked each week by teachers, and coming into year 11, what we did was we adapted the curriculum plan began, so that the year 11 began where year 10 finished the teaching. So we almost assumed no knowledge was learnt, but it's good revision for those pupils that did crack on with the work over lockdown. Also, homework is being set for all 3 sciences every week. They're getting an hour from each teacher, so that's making sure that they've got a good breadth ready for their mock exams and their real exams. In terms of resources, and first of all, what we do in science is we look at quality teaching first. So we've got really good science teachers, especially on year 11, all subject specialists, and we are ensuring that exam questions are embedded throughout the lessons. As I just mentioned about Caboodle, all students have a login, all textbooks can be accessed. There are also a number of resources on Caboodle. It's a really wealthy resource that we subscribe to. There's worksheets, animations, quizzes, stretch and challenge, and Caboodle is also used as homework as well to support the learning. You can access past papers. I know Mr. Dudley, Mr. Pickrell and Miss Sibley have highlighted how important these are. If you go on physicsandmathstutor.com, there is the mark schemes and the exams, and as of by the end of this week, some of your children will have already had some of their past papers, but your child will have a biology, a chemistry and a physics past paper for the same topics, but not exactly the same paper, ready to complete over half term. So if you could support in them completing that in exam conditions, I've said to my classes that it would be good to revise those topics first, and I'll go into those topics in a minute, and then have a go at this in timed conditions. Okay, that would be really good. We also use Seneca as well, which your child will be familiar with, and as Miss Sibley also alluded to, whilst we can't do practicals at this moment in time because obviously of the sharing of equipment and the lack of space, the PAG lessons, which are our practical lessons, we have really consistent, excellent resources with embedded exam questions, which they will have been through. As of tomorrow, every child in year 11 will be getting a revision guide. Obviously, we've had to base this on their MEGs, which I'll go through in a second, but they are going to be given out either tomorrow or Friday, in the hope that every year 11 will have those before half term, and that was through the COVID catch-up fund, and Miss Sibley kindly organised those. In terms of additional support, so very recently, starting after half term, we've hired a science intervention coach, and they are going to be taking targeted students out of core PE lessons. Don't worry, your child will still have PE each week, and we're really going to be focusing on really small groups to ensure a maximum impact in those groups. In terms of the mock exams, now some of your children might have been a bit confused as to the tier entry, so I just want to go through what we've had to do. So what we tend to do before lockdown, pre-COVID, is we would use the year 10 mocks to assess which tier we would put the pupils in for year 11 first mock, but obviously we can't do that at the moment. The mocks are all going to be based on content that has been taught, so that's year 9 and 10 content. It has been taught, but obviously it was quite some time ago, and that's B1 to 3, C1 to 3 and P1 to 3. Learning was uninterrupted during this time. Now, as I said, we've had to use their MEGs, which is their target grades, to enter pupils for the first set of year 11 mocks, alongside some teacher consultation. And the data that we use for that, if your child is predicted a 5.5 or higher, we've put them in initially for a higher paper. If they're targeted less than a 5.5, then we've put them in for foundation paper. The reason being is sometimes the pupils can drop off the bottom of higher paper, and they're at risk of getting a U. Now, I know a letter was sent out today detailing this, but I know some children are a little bit worried about their tier. So the question, I don't think my child is on the right tier. Obviously, we're using the first mock as a kind of trial to see where they should be. If they achieve a 5.5 and they do the foundation mock, in the next set of mocks, we'll put them in for the higher tier. And if they're doing a higher tier on the other example and they get less than a 5.5, we'll have to put them on a foundation tier for the second round of mocks, because we have to be absolutely certain that they can access the paper and that it's appropriate for their level of learning. And those pupils that are on separate science pathway, as per the letter sent out this morning, they need to achieve at least a 6 in all 3 sciences to continue on this pathway for the second round of mocks. So it's really, really clear using data only. And the last thing, which was what is in the mock paper from me, this was again detailed on the letter sent out in parent mail today. So it is all the B1 to 3, C1 to 3, P1 to 3s. So they're your topics as well. And it might be worth pupils digging out their old books from year 9 and year 10. And obviously for separate science, the topics are slightly different. So those pupils doing separate science will have a different letter compared to those doing combined science. So thanks very much for listening to me. Up next is Mr. Long with maths.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mr. Long and I'm the head of maths at Ash Green School. In an effort to best support your children since the lockdown period, what we've done to start this year is to ask all year 11 students to complete a baseline assessment in maths. Now that baseline was based on any missed learning, any online learning that they would have undertaken during the lockdown period. The reason we've done this is so that myself and my team can use that data, and we can use the information that comes from that data analysis to close gaps, plan interventions, quality first teaching in the classroom, and all with the goal with accelerating progress for your children, with your children this year. Mr. Dudley, Mr. Morris, Mr. Pickrell as well mentioned the importance of the November mocks. Your children will undertake a combination of calculator and non-calculator mock papers. They will be on a combination of higher and foundation tiers. Again, as Ms. Stokes talked about, we have put your child on a tier which we believe is appropriate for them to achieve their minimum expected grades. In terms of preparation for this, every student's piece of work, every diagnostic, every homework, every mock examination in maths, we use the image to the left of the slide where you can see topic diagnostic algebra. Mr. Pickrell talked about a QLA. What we do in maths is we make sure that all of our assignments, all of our work are linked through revision resources using a website called MathsWatch. Now, I'm sure you've seen your children doing their MathsWatch homework online. It's a fantastic resource. It's like having their own maths tutor electronically at home with them. It's a fantastic resource. The benefits include, but are not limited to, they've got professional industry leading instruction in mathematics, a wealth of GCSE problem solving. They've got interactive questions so they can master every different skill in mathematics. There's a wealth of exam papers. There's even revision timetable exemplars on there so the students can help form and plan out their revision to an excellent standard. There's also workbooks and lots of different tasks on there. So if your child ever lets you know that they're unsure how to prepare for maths or they've not got any homework to do, there is always something they can be revising using MathsWatch online. In addition to this, we also have commenced with after school intervention on a Thursday. We are looking forward to welcoming even more students to that post mocks, where again we can use all of our data analysis based on the outcomes of the mocks so that we can fill gaps, accelerate progress, and work with your child to get the absolute best out of them this year. We believe in them, and I think together we're going to do they're going to do absolutely fantastically. Similar to all my colleagues, if there's ever any queries or anything that you're unsure about, we're contactable at the school. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with me or a member of the team for any help or support. With that, I'd like to say thank you for your time, and I'm going to pass you on to Ms. Turtle, our Head of English. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Mrs. Turtle. I am going to talk through a little bit about what the Year 11s need to be doing to focus on English this term. So next term, or next big thing to look at, is our November mocks, which are on the next slide. So what you need to know, and what the students already know, is that they have got a language paper 1 full paper, which we have been teaching the skills all the way actually from year 7, but they have been focusing on this in lessons this term, and they will be doing their reading on their 20th century prose fiction, which is an Inspector Calls, also what they have been studying in literature lessons this term. So that's what their November mock is. You might know that, as people have said throughout this talk today, there have been some changes with English literature GCSE this year. So importantly, students will not be examined on a 19th century text, but they will be still examined on Macbeth and Inspector Calls, Power and Conflict poetry, and unseen poetry with a poetry comparison. And we will be going through all of these throughout the year. So in terms of intervention at the moment, we are supporting about 50% of the students with additional intervention at the moment, with a Tuesday after school hour session. And these students were picked because they were under their target grade by 2 grades, or they're currently at a level 3 and need to be, and we want to help convert their grade to a level 4, which is the pass mark for GCSE, or if they are at level 4 and we think we can boost them to that level 5 to get their grade even higher. So that's where the focus is at the moment with intervention. Just a quick reminder as well, those students that are doing that Tuesday intervention, it might be your child, they have also got an intervention during the half term, Monday the 26th, 1 till 4. And we'll be going through some example papers that will be similar to the ones that they're doing in the mock in November. So it will be really, really worthwhile them coming to that. The last thing that I'll say is after the mocks, those groups will change in order to best support our students. So the students and the children might change in the intervention groups after Christmas. So how can you support your child? We have been teaching in English this technique called Cornell Notes, which is a writing technique to help students remember their work, because often there is a lot of knowledge to be remembered for English literature in particular. So we have been teaching students to, 1, write full notes during the lesson. They can do that as well for writing revision notes. Then 24 hours later, they need to write keywords and questions to help them kind of reduce that information and get it into their long-term memories. And finally, 24 hours after that, they summarize it. So repeating this technique will help students really remember all the information that they need to know for English literature. Next slide. So here are some fantastic examples that I really wanted to share of some of the 11s who have already been doing this in class. And finally, if you would like to further help your child with English language, those were some pictures which students can look at and write descriptions about. And finally, here are some resources that are really, really useful for students to look at. They've been going through them, they're on Teams, which will really help your child for their GCSEs. Thank you very much. I will hand back to Miss Sibley.
Thank you very much, Louise. Just a final few words, really. Obviously, really important year. I think it's quite clear from all the staff that have contributed tonight that there's a lot of investment and support available. But ultimately, we just want young people to be successful. So to finish, thank you parents and students who have engaged tonight. There'll be more support in the coming months. Bottom line for me is for your young people to exhibit 3 qualities, really. Hard work, ultimately, resilience. There's going to be tough times ahead, and a little bit of sacrifice. But I think if they get those 3 right, They'll be really successful, and I look forward to seeing them in August with their envelopes and their results. Thanks again.